Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Miel Hebraica, and we're looking at Ruth 1, verse 18 and 19. In this particular passage, it's a transitional, the verse 18 is a transitional passage. In other words, in verses 16 and 17, we find Ruth uh, giving her profession of faith, and then it moves directly from there to Naomi speaking again. Okay, we got to get going, and so she sees what Ruth is feeling, and then so it moves directly. So it's between Ruth's profession of faith or affirmation of sticking with her mother-in-law, and it goes on then to verse 19, and 19 is the arrival in Bethlehem. Big things happening there. Wow, city's all in turmoil, and it's everybody's talking to each other, and everybody's asking questions as to many of these little villages. Of course, not a whole lot happens from day to day, but all of a sudden, here's the big news. This is front and center in the local news scenario in the town, at this probably right at the city gates. And hey, somebody just arrived, a couple of gals where we see one of them. She looks familiar. Can it really be? What happened to her? I mean, wow, 10 years. What in the world happened during those 10 years? So, of course, and the gender of the verbs and stuff in this verse are the women. And the women are saying, hey, what's happening? What's going on? Tell us what's happening. This sense of public opinion, we see it here in the last few verses of the first chapter. We'll see it again when Ruth gives birth to Obed at the end. So again, the force of public opinion, the force of what the women are saying to each other, takes front and center there. So we got two places in which you see conversations and what the public or what the people of the town are thinking about. We'll see it here. We'll see it also about halfway through chapter 4, and right at the point at which Ruth gives birth to Obed. At that point, it's a big happening as well. So here the big happening is the arrival at Bethlehem. So 18, transition, 19, the arrival at Bethlehem. Again, you find yourself a standard Bible in English, and I have it here in Hebrew using the ancient manuscript, using the hand-painted manuscript with very clear. At this point, the letters and the consonants and vowels are all quite clear, and so, but have a good translation in hand to make comparisons. The last two words of Ruth 1 verse 17 are beni u benech, and between me and between you. Okay, so that's an affirmation that only death will separate between me and between you, between me and you. Benech u benech, beni u beni, benech. This one has a dagesh and this one doesn't. So beni u benech. Okay, you have to soften off the bait here. And also the Rafe tells us to do that. Also tells us to keep the cough soft as well. Okay. Benech. Vatomer vatere. Okay. Vatere. And she saw. Okay. That's a feminine prefixed verb form here. And it doesn't state who is seeing what, but from context you understand very clearly that it's Naomi seeing something over in Ruth. Okay, so Naomi saw. Many times the translators will put in Naomi here because the switch out is pretty quick from Ruth speaking and here then to Naomi reacting. So Vatere, and then she saw. This root right here, Resh Aleph, is based on Resh Aleph Hey. The Hey has gone through apocrypha. And this root, incidentally, appears most of the time just in its two consonant roots. Now, dictionaries don't like two consonant roots. They'll expand it to a hey, and you'll see that often in participle forms and so. But in this case, it's tere, and she saw. She noticed. She paid attention. Okay, tere, ki, that. Nice little kaf. And if you look very carefully, there is a makef pulling this. Relative pronoun up against mit ama set. amaset. Looks like yeah, the X ending's over here. Quite a bit high in the word right here. Hit pae, the prefix here is the mem tau, and so it's one of our what I call an exotic formation. It's causative reflexive. In other words, she was very determined in and of herself. Okay? She inside of her. The tau here is feminine ending of the hit pae here. So mit amaset, and then she was very determined. This ametz is forms part of the Hebrew family of roots that, first of all, are based on amen, to be very certain, to be very determined, to be very faithful. And so this one's ametz. Means ametz. Take a good look at it. Okay, very determined, very decided. Okay, mitametz, and then it's reflexive and causative. She causes herself to be very determined. Okay, so mitametz, he, she. That is then Ruth here. This is the independent pronoun, and the antecedent of the independent pronoun is Ruth. So she was very determined. Lachet, in order to walk, and then we have lamed of purpose in front of a verb. Halach is to walk, and then she was determined to walk, to continue, to travel, to lelachet. Itach, with her, and with her. This is also preposition with, and then suffix pronoun attached here, feminine singular pronoun attached at the end of this prefix or preposition, and so you have itach, and with her. We also see elecha, towards her. This is with her, and this is towards her, and the same independent pronoun, right? The same dependent pronoun, same suffix pronoun attached to the end here. We have comments hey with a mapik. This one's simply a hey comments, but it does the same thing basically. Independent, feminine, or dependent. Wow, I don't know why I'm starting as independent, but dependent, attached, suffix. Okay, her, with her, towards her. Okay? Same thing happening. Both of these heys. If you had an unpointed text like way back when in Dead Sea Scrolls and so, then you wouldn't even notice the difference here. These two, they both just be simply heys, and you'd have to understand that they were attached pronouns. Itach va te hadal, and then she desisted or stopped. And dal, the root for dal is to be the very thin tent flap. It's used also for being thin, used for being poor. We'll find this root again into our let's see, third chapter, in which Boaz affirms, hey, you've been a really good person for not going after the rich guys or the poor guys, and the poor guys are the dal, the thin guys, the flat guys. And so this is the flat or the flap. In other words, we wanted to be a little bit coarse in our expression of how we're going to say this. She just closed her flap, her face, okay, and stopped talking, okay. She desisted from talking. So she stopped, teda, techdal, and then she desisted or stopped from ledabar in order to speaking, or to speak. This is a lamed of, again, of purpose, or introducing a infinitive form of the verb here. She stopped she stopped speaking. She stopped speaking. Ledabar, elecha, to her, towards her. As I said, this suffix pronoun here, to her, with her, and towards her, same thing, but the formation is a little bit different here with comments hey, and here it's hey comments. So elecha, towards her, to her. Get on to the next verse, verse 19. And so ledabar elecha, that was part of verse 18 here. And then siluk sof pasuk, nice ending up to that verse. And Master was very kind to us this time. Please put a good sof pasuk. Our scribe sometimes drops out the sof pasuk. Siluk will be there to show the end of the verse, but sof pasuk is really puts the finishing touches on the end of this verse. Speaking to her, va and telechana. Now we have lech, that's to walk, halach. Okay? The full root is hey lamed kaf. See that in the dictionary. Of course, the hey suffers a lot of apheresis, a lot of elision, and so it appears a lot, with the root lamed kaf. Okay, that's the root here, lamed kaf. And then they walked. Feminine prefix and the feminine plural suffix on the end of that one. So then they walked. They walked together. Okay, they're going on together. And this is one thing that Ruth had affirmed in her profession of faith. I will walk with you. Okay, where you walk, I walk. She's putting this into practice immediately. So helach. Okay, that was telech elach. Okay, now where you walk, I walk. Telechi elech. Okay, you walk, I walk. Okay, so here it is, same root again. Telechna, and then they walked, plural, feminine plural. Shtehem. This is the last time we see a masculine form used for feminine. I said previously, it's probably something to do with emphasis, but it's quite apparent that a masculine form can be used for feminine. The Mashra didn't blink on this thing, just left it the way it is. No helpful kare or substitute reading here to try put this back into feminine. They understood very clearly that a masculine can be used to express a feminine word. So the form is masculine, the gender in itself and based on context is feminine. So masculine form, feminine reality. Okay, so shtehem, the two of them, the two of the gals. Ad, until. Bona, until they came, until they were to come. Anytime you have a preposition introducing a noun, we find it right here too, ke, bona, and as they came, and until, this is until, and this is as. Okay, so until they came, and this is as they came, and both of them are infinitives and feminine plurals. So, and as they came, Bethlehem, to Bethlehem, and Bethlehem, same thing. The coming, both coming and in both cases it's repeated. One with until and then when. Okay, so but each when Hebrew wants to emphasize something, they repeat it. That's what happened here. Ad bona Bethlehem, ad kebana Bethlehem. There's a little difference in accenting here. We have an atna, and the atna boosted to this. Normally, the normal form would be this one, double sigolado, with an accent on the first syllable of this one. Same thing happened over here. You had the accenting is mil el on this second word, okay, on the second word. And so, but what the atna does here makes this particular form or this particular word a pausal form, puts the brakes on a little bit more than normal. And because of that, it goes up to a comments, harmonizes it with Arabic, because Arabic is house of meat. Lachem in Arabic is meat, whereas lachem in Hebrew is bread, and be it normal form or pausal form, it's still bread. So Bethlehem, Vahi, and then it happened. It so occurred. This was something that's important in the event. We see this particular verb right at the start of our passage in Ruth 1 verse 1, Vehi, Bihme, Sofet, and then Vehi, Rav, and then it so happened, and then there was, and so it's in a sense it's a inclusio. In other words, we started with it, we end this particular passage with it too. So looking to the front, looking to the end. So this makes this particular passage a package. So Vehi, and then it happened. Okay. So you had happenings at the start, happenings at the end. A few places along the way, incidentally in plural forms, they were happening over in Moab, but here it does open in a singular form at the start of Ruth 1:1, first word of our book, and here we see it again. So Vayhi, and then it happened, came to pass. Kebona, as they arrived, as they got to Bethlehem, to Bethlehem. Vatehom, there was a whirlwind. There was a whirlpool. Tehom. Hom is things that get excited, agitated. Find the same thought over in Genesis 1 verse 2. Haaretz hayata tohu bohu vehoshek al tehom. Okay, and so the darkness was on the deep, on the water, on the whirlpool. Tehom, things going spinning around. So the town is spinning around. Ha'ir. This is actually a verb here, and with a feminine prefixed form of the verb, and the town went into spin, went into big issue, big problems. But home, kol, the whole, ha'ir, all of the city. Feminine prefix singular form of tehom, and the reason for the feminine singular prefix is ha'ir is feminine. So the city, as the mother of its inhabitants, generally quite often is feminine gender. And here we see the feminine gender also in the formation of this particular verb. Tehom, kol ha'ir. Al, over. Alehem, over them. Now, when we see this, we go, oh, wow, our author finally is using correct grammar and expressing his prepositions. Well, here he had two of them, masculine. Here you got two of them. And guess what? This is a lovely feminine plural right here at the end here. Got it. So this is very much good grammar, good morphology. This one requires explaining. This one doesn't. This one just over on them. And then the whole city was in a tussle, in a whirlpool, in a whirlwind over them. Feminine plural. Vatesha tam vato to vatomarna. I get so used to pronouncing this root with a Milal accent. I have a little hard time when the accent moves down the way a little ways here. So, but here, tomarna, and then they spoke up. And this again also is feminine prefix, feminine plural ending here, tomarna, and then they said, and they expressed, because of what happens in the next expression here, we'll have to say, and then they asked. Okay, they said. Okay, they asked. Hazot, this is hey with a hatev patah. Hatev patah, the mashra, is very helpful here in telling us, or telling us actually, that this happens to be a question. Okay, interrogative, and then so is this zet. Zot is feminine demonstrative pronoun. Is this one, this female one, and then the name Naomi. Is this Naomi? Can it be? Can this one be Naomi? A question and questioning themselves. They see her, and she looks a whole lot different. She looks probably far more tired and far more older, far more hunched over, and quite a bit different than when she left. When she left, she was still relatively young, still had her family, had her husband, had her children. Things were still on an even keel. But when she comes back, wow, she is wiped out. And then the people at the town say, oh, can this happen to be her? Now, this kind of public opinion, we see this at the end of the first chapter. See a little bit more in the next verse or two. But we'll also see it at the end of our book, about a little bit just a little over halfway through chapter 4. When Ruth gives birth to Obed, then the public opinion kicks in again. It goes, whoa, this and this and this and this. So here, the questioning is, oh man, things are a bad way. And over there, oh, things are in a good way. So in other words, public opinion here is kind of, hey, something bad really happened. And then at the end, in chapter 4, the public opinion is, hey, something good. Again, it's the women, in plural, talking about what's happening to Ruth and Naomi. Ruth gives birth. Naomi actually has the child. It's considered Naomi's child. And so there, again, public opinion kicks in. We see here that as Naomi arrives back She feels defeated. She feels total failure. In the next few verses, we're going to see some very strong language against Shad, against Jehovah, the powerful one. The powerful one's been very tough with me. The powerful one has really beaten on me very hard, and so she begins to blame God for many of the things that have happened to her. And yeah, it sometimes happens. We run through a tough spot in life. Things fall apart, lose a job, or have issues in society or marriage or whatever it is. And our tendency is to blame the Lord for our tough times. We really should be looking at ourselves and not just looking to the Lord and blaming the Lord for the tough things. If something tough happens to us, we have to recognize that God is molding us, is moving us towards something that we may have to change ourselves in some way. And so part of a mature Christian life is being able to recognize God working on us through the good and the bad. When you have blessings, oh, good, thank you, praise the Lord. Have trials and troubles and showing up all tired up and worn out and looking old and dejected. Oh, okay, the Lord has done some things with me. I have to learn from that. So we look to this passage. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion going on here, a lot of things happening in the personal feelings of the lives, especially of Naomi. And she has to learn that there may be difficult times in life, but the Lord also seeks to rescue us. So look forward to God's blessing, even though you, at the moment or at this present time, you may be facing some difficult things. But those things we'll go through, and in the end, we live under the blessings of God. So God bless and God strengthen you in this day. Until the next time.